And make sure your microphones are muted as you come in, please. And we'll get started with the mission statement. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at the Helping Parents Heal meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take away from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Irene, who will be introducing Janet Nohavec. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. Janet Nohavec is internationally known for her evidential mediumship. She is an approved overseas tutor for the prestigious Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, England. Janet has been recognized as a pioneer in the field of mediumship and afterlife communication. For over 25 years, she has stood for the proof of continuity of life before it was popular. Over 10,000 private sessions, over 1,000 public demonstrations of mediumship, and countless charity events. Few mediums have her knowledge, basis, and compassion. A former Roman Catholic nun, she has been featured extensively on television, radio, and printed press. Her evidential form of mediumship has been researched by several university groups. Janet's private practice and church are based in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Janet is the author of Through the Darkness, her autobiography, and Where Two Worlds Meet, a book on the development of mediumship. Visit www.janetnohavec.com. On a personal note, about 5 months after Carly transitioned, someone I barely knew handed me a piece of paper with a name on it and told me to contact this person who could connect me to Carly. That name was Janet Nohavec. I lived my life in Bergen County, New Jersey, where Janet lived and where her journey within church is. I immediately Googled Janet, called and got on a waiting list for a reading, and through that Google search, I also found Suzanne Giesman's name. I had a reading 2 years later with Janet, which was amazing, and I am now honored to call Suzanne a dear friend, also a neighbor. Thank you, Janet, for speaking tonight, and thank you so very much for serving spirit and bringing hope to so many.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. It's my honor to be here with you this evening. I probably was a very unlikely medium, I have to say, so I think I'll share with you a bit of my story and what I believe about the afterlife, if that's okay, Elizabeth. I grew up seeing spirit. I didn't know that's what was happening. I come from a Catholic family, and my mother is the queen of superstition, I have to say. So, you know, if you drop a fork, something's going to happen. If you dream it, it's going to happen. If you saw a certain bird, things were going to happen. So her little girl who would sleepwalk at the age of 4, I started to see my grandfather who committed suicide. And my mother figured that can't be good. Because back then, unfortunately, within that faith, if you took your own life, you were never going to settle. And that was the belief system back then. So I was just petrified of this man turning up in my life. And
you want to go for a walk?
And then my sister started to see him as well. And I just was petrified. You know, I just really believed that this can't be good, and my mother really endorsed that. And, you know, years later, I have to say, I've come to understand, I think my grandfather was just trying to show me, you can see spirit. Um, you have the ability to see spirit. And that's where it evolved to. So my plan was to get married and have a whole bunch of kids. And literally one night, I was sleeping in my bedroom and I heard a voice in the corner of the room say, "You are going to be a Catholic nun." And I said, "No, I'm not going to be a Catholic nun. That's not my plan for my life at all." But the more I thought about it, people talk about a calling. I really thought God was asking me to do that. And I said to myself, well, maybe that's not a bad way to spend my life, you know? So I looked for the most progressive convent I could find because I was still smoking, and entered the convent, I have to say, where I found other nuns who were still smoking as well. And it was a great experience. And little did I know, I think it was all part of a bigger plan, because in the convent, you spend hours and hours sitting in a quiet room, talking to God, the saints, the angels, and saying, "Please talk back." And, you know, I would just turn my little listening ear towards heaven and spend hours listening for voice. And little did I know, 5 years later, I worked when I was a nun in inner city ghetto areas where there was drug and alcohol treatment facilities. And that was my honor to be part of that. I worked in women's shelters in really bad neighborhoods in city areas. And that was my honor, I have to say. I worked with incredible women. You know, obedience was a bit of an issue for me, and it was time for me to go. So after 5 years, I knew I needed counseling to heal my own life, and they did not approve of that. So I knew for me to grow to be the person I was supposed to be, it was time for me to go. But I think all those years in the convent of just sitting in the quiet and turning my little head towards the spiritual realms really helped my mediumship and really helped my clairaudience, the ability to hear the spirit world. So it was time to go. And not too long afterwards, there was a woman I knew who had a New Age bookstore. And she said, "Why don't you come to the circle tonight we have here?" And I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll go. I was full of fear, but I said, okay, I'll go. And that night it was like I was hit by lightning, like spirit had been waiting for me to come. And I really went home and used to say to God, "Are you sure you want me doing this? Is this okay? I wouldn't want to do anything against God. I really wouldn't, I have to say." But when I started to think about it, and people often ask me, you know, what my concept of this is, if I look at this in a really rational and intelligent way, a lot of beliefs are old beliefs. They were here from the beginning of time. And even if you think of the concept of angels, which have been so accepted through all the religions, back then, they didn't even know that potentially if they saw an angel, it could have been one of your own loved ones at that point. But it wasn't okay to say someone's mom was visiting or maybe their child. So it was acceptable to say, "Oh, there's an angel visiting." So I think even from the back way then, our loved ones were visiting us, and the only way it was acceptable is if we said it was an angel. And then when I really applied some intelligence to it, and I have really good friends that are still priests and nuns. I have people that come to me for readings that are priests and nuns, and none of them feel that this is against God. It's part of healing. Because if I really think about it, if I sat in the convent and talked to God, the saints, the angels, and that was okay with everybody, if the only thing I did different now was add grandma to the list, that's not bad. That's the only thing I do different now. I don't do anything against God. I talked to everybody that was over there, including my mother and your children. And even Jesus on the road to Emmaus said, "I'm here to show myself to you again." You know, so there's huge examples, and that to me, you know, master teacher now said, "You can do what I can do and more." To me, it's all love-based. It's all about healing, and love never dies. Your ancestors, your children, your family, my mother, my dog, I have to say, all of them want us to know they still walk with us. Because all of you here may have this mortal vessel, this lifetime, but you're as much a spirit as a soul as I am. And our loved ones come back to visit us, not with a mortal body, in their spirit, their soul, energetic, auric field of an energy body. So if you were, in time to look at your own development or in meditation, if you focus on your breath, we are spiritual beings walking through a material world. And our loved ones don't focus on the material world. They visit us from that spiritual world. And that's acceptable to everyone, I have to say. And I'm a big live and let live person. So it's not your cup of tea. Enjoy your life. Have a nice day, I have to say. But if people didn't start standing for this, probably around 30 years ago, the consciousness of the planet wouldn't be okay. If I look back 30 years ago, no one was talking about end of life celebrations. You would not have heard that word. No one talked about the plans they wanted to make when they made their transition, which will happen to all of us. That whole philosophy of let's have a celebration of one's life has transformed since 30 years ago. No one spoke, James Van Praagh is a friend of mine. And, I can remember I was cleaning houses when he first appeared on TV to make some extra money. And I was like, oh my God, there's someone on TV talking about this. And now there's all sorts of songs written about the afterlife. You might see someone getting their Oscar saying, I know my mother's looking down at me. It took this 30 years to move us this far ahead, in that consciousness. So I wouldn't do this if it was anything against God. It's just not part of me, I have to say. And I spend a lot of time in prayer. I spend a lot of time in prayer to the Great Spirit, whatever you call that for you. I spend time in to me, communion with the ministry of angels. I connect with our ancestors that are part of the ground that is left here, ashes to ashes. It's part of what we walk on, I have to say. So our ancestors around us, I have to say, my own loved ones, including my pets. So everyone here has an unseen group of helpers that walk with you. And it's your choice whether to open that door and pay attention to it or leave the door closed. But the potential is there for every one of you. It's part of your makeup, that part of soul to soul, spirit to spirit. So I encourage you all to pay attention to that unseen group of helpers. For me particularly as well. So I went to that circle and I met a medium, and she said, you've been seeing those spirit people since you were a little girl. And I was like, oh, how did she know that? I was like, oh, how did she know that? She said, you've never heard of a medium, have you? And I was like, no, I've never heard of a medium, And she said, well, first she said, why don't you go to this place called Lilydale? And then locally there was a development circle, and I started to sit there. But I kept hearing about this place in England called Arthur Findlay College. And I'd never been on a plane, and I found my way to Arthur Findlay College. And I saw a standard of mediumship that I really respected over there. And I would fly back and forth, and I would put into practice what they taught me. And over the years, they gave me the privilege of being the only United States tutor at the college. Which to me I dearly honor it, and I have a lot of respect for my colleagues because they really stand from a professional, ethical, evidential place of mediumship, and it's significant to me in that way. So from there, because I still wanted to be in service, I started my center, I have to say, which is very universalist. Everybody's welcome. There's an all-face wall. Let's all get along. We have Jewish, Muslim, Catholic, Christian. Everybody just gets along, I have to say. We don't all need to seem to have the same version of that. But there's a big belief, because every service has a demonstration of mediumship. That's part of it. And so is healing. I was talking to Irene, upstate New York. where modern day spiritualism began. Some of you have probably heard of the Fox sisters. There's really interesting history in our country, because upstate New York in around 1848, there's a part of New York State that's called the Burnt Over District. And it was given that name because there's been spiritual revolution that's come from that area. The Mormons began there. The Quakers were big in that area. The women's suffragettes were huge in upstate New York. There's a big museum for women's rights movement. And I believe at that point in this country, the spirit world through the Fox sisters began communication, which just pried open the door to the spirit world a little bit so they could say, we still love you. And at that point, if it were true, I have to say, if I go back in history, what the attitude on the planet was at that moment, everybody was pretty much going to hell for one reason or another, I have to say. And there became this group of people called free thinkers who said, that's not what we think. And a lot of people came to our country from other countries looking for freedom. So this group of free thinkers, started to formulate, and it started to sweep across the country, and if you really research, Abraham Lincoln's wife lost children, and there were seances in the White House. There were mediums that were present, really intelligent people, I have to say. Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist, has written profusely about mediums and his belief in them, There's a huge, population of intelligent people who were, if you look at Thomas Edison, he was working on a black box that was going to talk to his deceased grandmother. Rockefellers have consulted the spirit world on decisions they've made. So there's a huge legacy of people, that have just kept that link. So upstate New York, in this little town in Hydesville, these three little girls started to communicate with the spirit. And it began a wave across our country in a belief system that life goes on. And across the street is a schoolhouse. So that's been kept now. It's a historical park in memory to the beginning of this. Across the street is an old dilapidated schoolhouse that the girls went to school. And a couple years ago, the girl who owned it called and said, if you don't restore this and historically keep it, it will be a lost treasure. There's nothing that is standing that could be part of that beginning. So we took the project on. And it's going to be a healing temple. And it's all about love goes on, and healing is so necessary on our planet, whether it be individually, whether it be for everyone on the planet, whether it be the pandemic at the minute, So the only thing I say I did different is I went into the quiet, and in addition to everybody else I was talking to, I added someone's grandmother, and I became the storyteller and the voice for someone that didn't have a voice as they came to visit. And I do that in a sacred way. I believe it is sacred, I have to say. And that's the way I try and represent it. So it's really very important to me. I do believe we all go on, I have to say. I think it's been a disservice from the beginning of time. They used to say to my mother, if you're good, you'll live a good long life and it'll all be okay. Well, life's been a challenge for everybody on the planet since they arrived. Everybody, and unfortunately for those who grieve, life's not the same. It's a light that goes out in a way, but and a belief in that afterlife, I have to say, to me, lets me have a relationship with those I love in a different way. You, like me, carry them in your heart wherever you are. When my friend James said once, he said, he was talking to a young man from the spirit world, and he was 29 when he died, and he said to his mom, we had 29 good years, and you focus on the day I left, and I need you, Mom, to really focus on the 29 other good years. not just that day. And I really do believe in that, in a big way. So I created my center because I didn't see a great standard of mediumship in our country. And we got involved in training mediums. And I teach myself. This weekend, there's 2 classes on Saturday, connecting with spirit and the divine for yourself, for you to communicate with all those other realms that I told you about, whether it be the angels, your ancestors, or your own loved ones. And then Sunday, there's a beginner's mediumship class, because it's all about empowering other people. Really, it's all about empowering other people. So I believe once you leave your mortal body behind, as Edgar Cayce said, you walk through God's other door to what I believe is an organized heaven or spiritual world. That's just not a material world. And, our loved ones in an order, we may follow a passion that we never got to do. Someone may have wanted to be involved with the arts and music, and they never got to do this in this lifetime. So there's schools of learnings. You may be an assistance to people who are, making their way over to the spiritual world. You may, be involved in something you couldn't be while you were here. Some people wanted to get degrees, but they couldn't. They had to work as, carpenters to support their families. So I believe that our souls are tended to continually evolve, and that the helpers from these unseen realms actually meet with us and help us to prepare what we would like to do next, what's best for us to grow next. I don't believe I really do believe that in the spiritual realms, babies don't stay babies and old people don't stay old. You move to a place of wholeness. And it's important, I have to say. So whatever was wrong here in your physical body, when you left that physical body here, that's healed. I don't personally believe in a place called hell. I think you can have it here, and that it's a state of mind. So, if Hitler and Mother Teresa arrive, they're both welcomed by love. But when you go through a life review, you certainly, one of them is more progressed as a soul. But I don't believe in a God that bans someone to hell and damnation forever. I just don't, I have to say. To me, that great spirit, it's all about love, whatever the God of your understanding, So I was going to get a couple contacts for people. Maybe we'll just take a couple questions if they are, and then I'll begin to, find some loved ones for people, if that's okay, Elizabeth.
That would be wonderful. And we do have questions. Roseanne is asking, has the Catholic Church's viewpoint changed about heaven and hell? I know you said that you feel strongly that there isn't a hell. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. If you are a Catholic, I think many of you know that based on what parish you go to, it's either very liberal or it's very conservative. The official stance has not changed. But I'd have to say half the population, even within their own movement, is willing to speak that that's not the belief anymore. But there has not been an official dogmatic change. But, if you go to 2 different parishes in 2 different towns here, you could have a totally different experience of what they would say to you from a pulpit.
That's a great answer. And I just want to tell you that people are expressing gratitude for what you've said already. Lindsay is saying about the angels makes sense, angel instead of spirit, which makes total sense to me as well. Liz is saying, thank you, I'm Catholic and I believe in mediums. So that is reassuring, obviously. Dolores is saying, absolutely love what she's saying. So comforting, so loving. And Dixie is saying, we are spiritual beings walking through a physical world, which is true. And I have a question from a father that's actually just directed to me, so it's not in the chat box for everyone, but he's just asking about his 15-year-old daughter who took her life 9 months ago. And since crossing the veil, he's been trying to connect with her and develop his communication with her. How clear and how strong will that communication become with her? Will he be able to see her in manifest form? And thank you very much for your answer.
Sure. If you were to go to the Journey Within website, we have a YouTube channel, and there's a meditation I do there called The Upper Room. It's for free, and it's a meditation you can use to meet with your own loved ones for yourself. Energy is different every day. So one day you could have a profound experience, and the next day you don't feel anything, because there is an ebb and flow always, I have to say, in the energetic field. You may have a one-off profound experience of her manifesting herself in a way that really is palatable, because we all do have an occasional, really it blows us away spiritual experience. But I'll just tell the story if it's okay, for my center. When I wanted a church in New Jersey, I was renting space at a New Age store, and a gentleman came to the service, and he was an older gentleman. I don't know who he was. He was sitting on the front row, and the spirit world said to go to this gentleman, because I always go where I'm directed. And he got a contact from the spiritual realms, and then he got a reading in a short amount of time, and I still didn't know who he was. And he was a very staunch Catholic, and he believed that was the end for his daughter. And through mediumship, he started to have dreams. He called them upstairs, downstairs dreams. And sometimes she would come to visit him, and sometimes he would go to visit her. And he came to understand if there was grief in his dreams, or if it was a troubling dream, it wasn't from the spirit world. It was him processing his own grief. So him and his wife, got involved. And one Christmas, they took me to dinner, and they said, "How much money do you need for a church in New Jersey?" And I said, "Probably $300,000 for a down payment." And he said, "We're going to give it to you." So $500,000 later, he helped create a center in honor of his daughter to create a place where two worlds can come together. And you can join us on Sunday mornings. There's no fee. It's not offensive to anyone. And there's always a demonstration of mediumship on Wednesday nights too. There's no fee. And it changed his life. He looked at the grave as the end. And now he's developed a different relationship. And there are been quite a few parents who have written profusely about how they created this ongoing dialogue, So if you get a journal and start to, journal just your thoughts to your child that's passed. If you go to that meditation room that I suggested, take a piece of paper and write down 5 signs that they can use and tell them that, and then trust it and live it, I have to say. As I said before, we're scarred. All great souls are covered with scars that walk this planet. Stuff happens. It's part of the human experience, the ups and the downs, I have to say. But one thing I know from personal experience, because my grandfather committed suicide, that some people are just not equipped for this planet at different times. And that the God, the love of my understanding, totally understands that, So I don't encourage people that that's the right choice, but I certainly know from my own family, I have to say, that you are only met by love, I have to say. So I really do believe that this father, as he moves on, will have experiences, but they'll never be consistently the same. There'll always be an ebb and a flow. And sometimes you'll say, they're just not strong. And that's true. I don't believe they leave us, even if, my great grandmother, who I never even met, comes through with mediums. So I don't believe, and people always say, well, what if you reincarnate? I believe in group souls. I do believe that when you make your transition, your loved ones will be there. I have to say, including my pets, because my pets are very important, I have to say. So, you know, I'm a big advocate for you are spirit and soul first. You have this material form, but you will drop this material form, like Edgar Cayce talks about so much, you know, to develop the spiritual nature of ourselves and our connection to this unseen world can help us navigate this material world, which can be very challenging, I have to say. And I don't trivialize your grief on any level. It hurts, you know. But, you know, in honor of who they were to us, it takes courage to get up and keep living. And to me, it's a big challenge. But I think the other side is rooting us on to do that, I'm gonna have to say, you know, if we can focus on that. So I did want to.
That's beautiful. I was going to just tell you, we have a lot of questions in here, but a lot are about their kids. One last question, maybe before you get started, if this is possible, is that one of the moms is asking what they're doing on the other side. If you could maybe just talk a little bit about what our kids are doing once they get over there and have their life review. And
Sure. I do believe if you have other relatives on the other side, they have met back up with relatives. Even if my dad was a very abusive alcoholic, I have to say a very broken man. And I came to understand he grew up with my mom under Hitler. So they were broken souls to start with. So, you know, when he got to the other side, that's why you usually hear apologies. You know, they realize where he could have loved in a different way, you know, and I would only want for my father's healing. So even if you have relatives on the other side that might not have been the nicest person and you're saying, oh my God, he met up with her, you know, that's not what they're like on the other side anymore. They've moved back to wholeness, I have to say. So your children, I have to say, as I said earlier, would continue to move to wholeness, I have to say. So if you lost a baby and they would be around 24 now, I don't believe that your encounter is going to continue to be a baby with no life experience. You know, when a medium brings them through, I would bring through, you lost an infant, she was about the age of 2, you know, and whatever would have happened. But then I do look ahead and say, you know, on the other side, she's discovered music, or she is back to schools of learning, or she is helping other children move on, or she has, you know, they love the outdoors so much, this young gentleman, you know, his goal. And I think the reason, and Raymond Moody talks quite a bit about this, the reason the other world and the words about it are vague is we don't have the words to describe that. We don't have the words to describe that world. If in this world I see a beautiful color blue, I see blue. But in the spiritual realms, you blend with blue. Now, what's that? What's that? In this world, we speak words to one another. In the other world, we send thought and it's heard, almost like a telepathy. We don't have the words to correctly describe what that world is like. And Raymond Moody first said that. And it truly makes a lot of sense. But there's an organized life, and it is full to me of love and continual progression. Much like us, we have to grow, you know, from where we are. There's a bigger message in We Don't Die. It means what you do with your lifetime is really important, because if we believe in an afterlife, what you do with this life is hugely important, massively important, even more important than the message. Then they can still communicate with us. If we go on, we should be concerned, and I am concerned with, am I trying to grow spiritually? Am I addressing my own stuff? You know, it's really important. It's more about how we live, truly. So.
That's beautiful. And, you know, it's interesting because we had Dr. Raymond Moody come on and speak about Making Sense of Nonsense, which is his book that's written specifically about trying to explain what it's like to be able to communicate and to comprehend the ineffable, obviously, which is just so interesting that you're talking about that as well. There are a lot of questions, but I think most people are really just wanting to see if anyone comes through. And would it be possible to go on
I'd be
to
happy to get a couple contacts? So I just want to, I'm not sure who the gentleman you were referencing with the suicide that before. I don't know if you know who that was and can reach
Yes.
back if his father was passed.
Let me find out. I'm sorry, I have to scroll up because there are so many. So
Okay,
Thomas, could you maybe just let us know if your father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that Thomas? That was.
Yes, that's him. But you've got a bad connection, Thomas.
Maybe stop your video so your voice is.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm sorry, you mentioned your child committed suicide?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
About 9 months ago.
Okay. And is your father in the spiritual realms?
Yes.
Okay. Because when she was just talking about your question, I have to say I was aware of the presence of a father in the spiritual realms. I also felt there's a petite woman, so I don't know if you also left your grandmother, but she was not a very tall woman. Would you understand that, sir?
Yes.
Okay, because I think they're trying to bring in other relatives around your child just to let you know that they're okay. Was there a little delay, I have to say, when your child passed, or were they not at home, or did someone not know right away?
As far as her action, you mean? What she did?
I don't know if there was a few hours before someone found her.
Yeah, I went out for dinner and she wanted to stay home. And when we came home,
I just
from
felt
dinner.
there was a delay somehow she kept talking about. So I do need to say that in that way. And may I just ask her, did she have a lot of anxiety just in life? Was she one that would have spun a little bit that way?
Yes, yes.
Okay. They're showing me my niece, I have to say. And my niece was okay one day, and then another day she wasn't, I have to say. It's almost like bipolar kind of woke up in her. But I know there's a little bit of spinning with her energy and the way she's showing it to me, I have to say. I don't know if there's a necklace that you have of hers or if there's something you wear that would be connected to her or reminds you of her. But she does draw near with other relatives just to let you know she is okay. She's talking about a Lisa or a Lori. I don't know if she had a close friend with that name, but she's definitely bringing that up. And there must be a small photo of her that you either hold or talk to at times. Would you understand that, sir?
Absolutely, yes. 100%, yes.
Okay, because I'm trying to ignore you and just move to the power of spirit because on Zoom, that's the best way to go with this, I have to say. But she just kept talking about this friend that seems significant. And I don't know if you people are dog people, but I know there's a pet coming up with this on the other side as well.
Yes.
But it's significant that I bring that up. But I just, when you put your question out, I just felt the spirit world draw near. But I know you've got other relatives that have her, and she certainly is okay. I don't know if she had a fight with someone, like a friend, or if there had been words with a friend of hers. Would you understand that, sir?
Yes, kind of. She felt like her friends were abandoning her.
Okay, because she keeps talking about her friends. You were very good parents, sir, but I felt there was something going on with her friends here. She just keeps talking about her friends, and that's where my heart is sad, I have to say. But I do need you to know that these loved ones on the other side have surrounded her in a significant way. And this dog just keeps coming up around me as well that I need to acknowledge that would be. So are you people into animals? Like?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. We have dogs, cats, guinea pigs.
Okay. I just got to bring in a dog that I felt was put to sleep, that I almost felt might have had a problem with like a back quarter or hind leg or something. So this dog is coming up with her as well. And I don't know what, I just need to bring up butterflies. I don't know why she says there's going to be a big sun with butterflies, but it's just significant I bring that. So just know trying to say hello to all of you here, and you will palatably feel her, I have to say. But you need to raise your heart, because sometimes when we're focused on the grief,
Mhm.
it's keeping us from reaching that energetic next realm, I have to
Okay.
say. So
Okay.
I know grief is here, and I know it will knock us down like waves, I have to say. But try that meditation, sir, and try and move yourself just to a place of lifting your own spirit, soul being toward whatever you believe the greater realm to be. And it's in that lift that you will touch her. Suzanne Giesman uses something that's called the Bless Me method. You can watch her YouTube video on that. And it's for you to lift your own spirit, soul towards her while you're still in this material form. But I know she's got relatives around her that are significant. And I'm cognitive of the name Frank or Francis for some reason. So I don't know who that would have been relative-wise, but that name's just coming up. Are there Catholics in the family somewhere, sir?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. It could be a correlation to St. Francis of Assisi. It's got to fit in somehow, but she's just acknowledging it. She is at peace, sir. She's so sorry for the pain that it caused you here. But I just felt there was something really going on with her friends that she was having a real challenge with. But you were good parents. You will always be good parents, I have to say. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I was aware, I have to say, I felt a younger girl, maybe around the age of 7 to 10, around that age, but I felt there was either an allergic reaction to something or a breathing problem that caused this, like an asthma. But I felt she was very sensitive to everything, either bees or just kind of very sensitive, I have to say. I know I want a younger female. I know 7 to 10. I know there was respiratory distress just at the end with her, almost like I'm having a tough time breathing. And I feel there was something to do with being very sensitive to medications and stuff. So I think she was a little compromised from the beginning. So would someone understand that here? I don't feel she got to be very old.
If anyone understands that, maybe put it in the chat box for us. A child about 7 years old.
7 to 10, I have to say, not very old at all, I have to say.
Okay, we have a 16-year-old that had respiratory.
I did feel this with a female. I don't want a male with this. So if it's a girl, please let us know that it was a female, because I can't make a boy a girl, I have to say. I do feel this was with a girl, and her hair was very important. She kept talking about my hair for whatever reason. So the person that's talking with the 16-year-old, was that a female?
Let's see. Yes, a female. So
Okay.
Tina, would you like to maybe unmute yourself? Is that possible?
Hi there.
Okay, here she is. Here's Tina.
Hi, Tina. So this was a daughter, not a son.
Yes, my 16-year-old daughter. The hair may be cancer related. She had cancer, but at the end, she had pleural effusion, so she couldn't breathe at all.
Okay. Her hair seems a big deal, so maybe I need to tell you it's all better, but her hair seems a very big deal. I also don't know if someone makes jewelry or if someone made something for you with jewelry, but she's talking about jewelry being made.
I just had some jewelry made, yes.
Oh, terrific, I have to say. See, they're still around. I don't want to say they follow us all day because that's unintelligent. If they're living, that would be kind of boring for any one of us to follow someone around all day. But in the blink of an eye, they can visit, and a blink of an eye, they're back. So several times, through the day, they're present. But I don't want to say they follow you all day, every day. That's not what's happening. There's an order to, the universe, I have to say. She also kept talking about, I don't know if you have a son,
Yes.
but she wants to say hello to other people that are here in the living. And I don't know if there's something about a hat or a cap. So I don't know if it's a baseball cap of hers, but she just keeps putting this hat or cap, things you must have of hers that seem very important. When she was well, she was up for anything, because this is a free spirit, I have to say. And she is that way again. I really do need to say it the way she's bringing it to me, because just this free spirit with her. So and just this exuberance of spirit and smile. So I do need to say that. I don't know if she took a whole wall and covered it with pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know
She
if
did.
it's a bedroom, but
Yeah.
she shows me a whole wall covered with pictures. So I don't know if these are posters or what she did, but I know she visits you, and I know at one point this was significant to her. And I've got to bring up either fireflies or dragonflies.
Dragonflies.
Okay, because there's an aspect of that that seems significant to her. Were you actually with her at the end?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
was holding her
She
whole
keeps
body.
tracking my hand, so I think she wants you to know she knew you were there, and it's important that I bring that. And I don't know if she liked purple or if there's something purple you had on that day, but she keeps wanting to surround me with purple, and I don't know why. So,
She had a blanket,
okay.
purple blanket.
Okay, thank you. I just keep wanting to surround myself. I don't know where your family would go where I'm on a lake where there might be Adirondack chairs. So I don't know if that's current or when she was still here, but she's going to these memories. Is it something you still do, ma'am?
Yeah, we have back chairs in Cape Cod. That's her favorite place.
Okay, she's going to that place. So she wants you still as a family. We have to make more memories, particularly if you have children still here. You know, at the end of this lifetime, all we really got is a bucket full of memories, really, I have to say. So you need to create more memories. And if you go to that spot, she can experience it with you still, like in a joyful way. So I know you might be missing her there, but just know through you, she can experience that, I have to say. I was telling the ladies earlier, the other day I was cooking one of my mama's Polish meals, and I had blueberries on the stove, and you're supposed to simmer it low and steady for a long time before it's perfect. And I know I didn't turn that pot off, and I walked in the kitchen, it was shut off, and I was like, well, Mama, I guess you think it should have been done, I have to say. So, you know, when I see cherries in the store that are big, I was like, Mama, look at these cherries. You would have loved these cherries, you know. So go to that place you would have loved and sit there and say, you are here with me. I know it in spirit. And talk to her like she's still there. And they will find the vehicle to somehow let you know they are, I have to say. But
Thank you.
You couldn't have been a better mom. I just
Thank
do
you.
need to say that. Do you have a cat, or did someone have a cat?
We're dog people. Her grandmother had a cat, has a cat.
Okay, because maybe, and the grandmother's still here?
Yes.
Okay, just maybe be remembered to her, I have to say. Say hello to everybody that's not present this evening here, because it's brought up as well. And at some point, did someone have a little dog?
Yes.
I just know there's pets with her on the other side, I have to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was your mom's or wherever.
Oh, I had a little dog years ago when I was growing up.
Thank you so much. And there's got to be a connection to either the Blessed Mother somewhere here, or there's something about Mary.
Okay.
I know that
my grandmother's Mary,
okay.
and she's in heaven.
Okay, they're together on the other side. So no, that's significant. And did you live on either, is there Irish in the family?
Yes.
She's giving me shamrocks. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to come to you as a sign, but just know if she's bringing that up. But I felt like someone might have lived on like Hemlock Road or Pine Street. Oak Street.
Locust Street.
That's it. There's something with like a tree name. I don't know what it is, but she's talking about an actual address. And if you look back, there's got to be a photo of her. I don't know if she ever used to run or if it was a sports team or something she would have liked. But I know there's a photo, and I know I want a number. I'm dyslexic. I think it's 25. I might be right with one and wrong with the other.
22.
Perfect.
And she was a runner.
Perfect. That's my dyslexia, so my apologies with that.
Oh,
I know this is on a shirt that you should be able to look at, I have to say. It's really,
I just got it tattooed on me, actually, 22.
Oh my God! Even though it comes out of my mouth, to me, it leaves me in awe, because I'm just the voice piece. an intelligence and love from the other side reaching to it here. So, it leaves me in awe. It's not me, and it shouldn't be me. It's just me bringing two hearts together again. So I just know it's significant that I'm sure you know that already.
Thank you so much.
Important for me to say that. And I don't know if somebody's rolling out the carpet. I don't know if, I know we're in COVID, but are you welcoming visitors, or is someone finally coming to visit you or something?
I don't know. Maybe a surprise guest.
You don't have a connection, or she didn't, to the Wizard of Oz?
No.
Okay. She's rolling out the carpet for someone.
Okay.
So I just need to make that statement to you, and you will understand this. It's almost someone you welcome into your life or into your home.
Okay.
So I don't know who's going to be back in touch with you. Could have been a friend of hers, or it could be related to, the child that's still here. But it's almost, there's a big welcome for someone that's coming into the family's life. And I just need to say it to her, because it's almost like she wants to blow trumpets, like announcing this coming, I have to say. How old are your other children?
Her brother is 14.
Okay. I don't know what this is about, but just remember it's significant. So you may be hearing from someone from her that was very significant.
Actually, somebody was supposed to come over today that was very special to her, who she met in the Jimmy Fund Clinic, but it got canceled. But
okay, that's all good. But a big heart hug from her, I have to say, in a significant way. Just take all the love that's there. So
thank you so much.
Sorry for your losses, I have to say, for all of yours. But life on life's terms is not easy, and it's our choice what we do with that experience that comes to us, I have to say. And this is just such a great organization. All we can try and do is continue to help each other walk, and that's what we should be doing, in memory, I have to say. It's really one of the things we can do best, is just try and help someone get through the next hours or the next day, and hold their hands, but particularly for me, everything points to me to, we go on, it's not the end. Love is eternal, and so is life, so we have this experience through here, and there's reasons for it, but as Annie Lennox sings in that beautiful song, one day we awake and it will just be a dream, and they'll be in our arms again, and it will be just like that. We awake from a dream and they're back in our arms again, and I'm counting on it. So it's been my honor to be with everyone this evening here.
Thank you, Janet. This has been absolutely wonderful. There are so many wonderful things that are written in the chat box. I just have to say, everyone's saying she's wonderful, how wonderful. The light next to her just dimmed and went bright again. She's wonderful. Love, love, love her. That is so wonderful. Yes, yes. I mean, the thing about having these readings like this is that it gives all of us so much comfort, because having you bring through one of our children is like you bringing through all of our children. And we all know that they're all friends, that they're all having a blast on the other side. And I feel that most frequently we have kids who come through whose parents need it the most. And those kids of ours who are not coming through are saying, go ahead, because your mom or your dad needs this the most of all today. So please go to the head of the line. And I'm just getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. And so it just goes to show you how incredibly loving all of these kids are to each other and to us. And again, this is something that I just love. I've heard that when the kids are able to see us smile, they high-five each other. So I'm pretty sure they've been high-fiving each other a lot this evening, and that's thanks to you, Janet. It's thanks to Tina, it's thanks to Thomas, and it's thanks to all of you who are here. I truly appreciate it, and thank you for being on here in the middle of a storm as well. I'm glad that your power didn't go out.
Oh, it's meant to be, and I'd be happy to come back in the future again for you. So.
Well, thank you. That's very, very kind of you. And
I just wanted to say thank you also, and I hope everybody will take the time to visit Janet's website and look at the incredible work that she's doing, and we can support her in her church and in her restoration project that is going on right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So
thank you, Irene. And
we'll let you know more about, you know, what we talked about with at the Healing Temple. So that'd be great.
that would be wonderful. And we always end our meetings by having everyone unmute and say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
But that was
Thank you, Janet.